For almost a century, the United States dollar has ruled the world. It has been the king of money, the currency that powers trade, shapes economies, and decides the fate of nations. From oil to gold, from technology to weapons, everything has been priced in dollars. But now, something is changing. A new alliance of nations is rising, challenging the dollar's throne. They call themselves BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Together, they are rewriting the rules of global power. And the question everyone is asking is simple. Is the dollar's reign finally coming to an end? It began quietly, far from Wall Street or Washington. These countries, once dismissed as developing economies, started to grow fast. China became the world's factory. India became the tech hub. Brazil dominated agriculture. Russia commanded energy. And South Africa supplied minerals. Each held a key piece of the global puzzle. Yet all of them shared one frustration: they were tired of a system built and controlled by the West. For decades, international trade has been dominated by the US dollar. If Brazil wanted to buy oil from Russia, or China wanted to trade with India, they first had to convert their currencies into dollars. That gave America enormous power. It could control transactions, impose sanctions, and influence economies from across the ocean. The BRICS nations saw this as unfair. Why should one country hold the financial remote control of the world? So, they decided to create their own alternative, a new system that could free them from the dollar's shadow. At first, it sounded impossible. The dollar was too powerful, too deeply routed. But slowly, the cracks began to show. The 2008 financial crisis shook faith in the US banking system. America's rising debt worried investors, and the use of the dollar as a weapon freezing assets. Cutting countries from global payment systems made others uneasy. The BRICS saw an opportunity. In 2009, they held their first summit, a meeting that would change everything. They talked about cooperation, trade, and a dream of a multipolar world not ruled by one currency or one superpower. The West didn't take them seriously at first. But by 2020, the numbers spoke for themselves. BRICS countries together made up more than 40% of the world's population and nearly 1/3 of global GDP. And now, they're building a financial revolution. Their goal: to trade directly using their own currencies and eventually launch a shared digital currency, backed by gold, energy, or real assets. Imagine a world where China pays Saudi Arabia for oil in yuan instead of dollars, or India buys Russian gas using rupees. That's not imagination anymore, it's happening. In 2023, BRICS took a massive step forward by expanding their group. They invited new members like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. This expansion gave BRICS something that dollar can't easily compete with: control over the world. Key resources, energy, minerals, food, and technology all within their alliance. The idea of a BRICS currency, sometimes called the BRIC, is more than symbolism, it's a weapon of independence. If successful, it could change how global trade works forever. But here's the twist. While the BRICS dream sounds powerful, it's not an easy fight. The US dollar still dominates more than 80% of global trade. Almost every central bank holds reserves in dollars. Global businesses trust it, and the US controls the biggest financial systems like SWIFT and IMF. Breaking free from that grip isn't simple. Even within BRICS, differences run deep. China and India have border disputes. Brazil leans toward Western markets. Russia faces sanctions that limit its banking reach, and South Africa's economy struggles with instability. Unity is their strength, but also their biggest challenge. Still, something undeniable is happening. The world is slowly shifting. Central banks around the world are buying gold at record levels, the highest in more than 50 years. They're doing it to protect themselves from the volatility of the dollar. Countries like China, Russia, and even smaller nations are creating payment systems that bypass American control. Russia's MIR, China's CIPs, and India's UPI international systems are all part of this silent revolution. They're building the tools of a post-dollar world. And it's not just politics, it's strategy. When the US froze billions of Russian assets after the Ukraine invasion, Other countries took notice. They realized that holding too many dollars makes them vulnerable. One wrong political move, and their money could vanish overnight. So now, nations are diversifying. They're trading more in local currencies. They're signing deals in yuan, rupees, and rubles. The domino effect has begun. But is the dollar doomed? Not yet. The dollar is still strong, still trusted, and still everywhere. It's deeply embedded in global systems, airplane parts, shipping insurance, commodity prices all depend on it. For BRICS to truly dethrone it, they'll need more than ambition. They'll need infrastructure, trust, and time. Yet, the psychological shift is already here. The idea that the dollar's untouchable is fading. The BRICS Revolution is not just about money, it's about power, identity, and sovereignty. It's about countries saying, we don't need permission to trade. We don't need to bow to sanctions. We can build our own system. It's economic independence disguised as cooperation. For the average person, it might feel distant, but the impact could be massive. If the dollar weakens, prices in America could rise. US influence could shrink. But for emerging nations, it could mean freedom no more, being trapped by Western debt, no more being punished for political decisions. It's a shift that could redraw the world's financial map. Still, not everyone believes it will work. Critics say BRICS lacks a clear plan, that its members are too different, and that their economies rely on the very systems they're trying to escape. Others say the West will never allow it, but history shows that empires don't last forever. The British pound once ruled global trade. Before that, it was the Spanish silver dollar. Every currency empire has its peak and its fall. The real question is not if the dollar will lose its crown, but when. The BRICS nations are betting on soon. In their latest meetings, they've discussed building a global payment network, issuing bonds in local currencies, and even using blockchain to support their financial system. They want a future where trade is fair, not controlled by sanctions or foreign policies. Whether they succeed or not, they've already changed the conversation. The world is no longer looking at America. For financial leadership, it's looking at itself. The BRICS Revolution is about more than 5 letters. It's about 21st century power shifting away from one corner of the world to many. It's the story of balance, rebellion, and evolution. The dollar's reign may not end overnight. It might take years, maybe decades. But one thing is clear. The foundation is shaking. A new financial world is being built, not in the skyscrapers of New York, but in the meeting rooms of Shanghai, Snow, Paulo, and Johannesburg. The BRICS dream is a mirror to the world's frustration and ambition, a desire for equality in a system long dominated by one voice. Whether that dream becomes reality or fades into history will depend on how far they're willing to go, how united they can remain, and how the rest of the world responds. The story isn't over, it's just beginning. The world stands at the edge of a new economic era, where the dollar's crown is slipping, and the future is uncertain. Will the BRICS nations truly break the financial empire of the dollar? Or will the dollar adapt and survive, stronger than ever? One thing is certain. The revolution has already started, and money will never be the same again. ChatGPT can make mistakes.